Welcome. I'm Neil Gershenfeld, and the Fab Academy is one of my favorite things. In this fast-paced hour, I'm going to take about 5 minutes just to recap what is a Fab Lab and what is Fab Academy. And then we'll hand off to a team to give you a tour through what we cover, what you'll learn, and then what the impacts and outcomes are. And then I'll come back at the end to wrap up. So for background, for those who don't know me, I lead Center for Bits and Atoms at MIT. Historically, we did things like the first quantum computing, cryptography and material, computing in fluids, creating synthetic life, part of creating Internet of Things, all of this work at the boundary of digital and physical. And amazing people came through this program. Jason built the computers for Facebook, and now he's building AI computers for Microsoft. Rafi built Footer's computers, for example. Saul's a really interesting MacArthur Fellow. He did foundational work in AI. Those are people attracted to work at that boundary. And I'll explain why I'm telling all of this for you in a little bit. And then doing this sort of work, we spun off billions of dollars of businesses, companies like e-ink for e-ink readers and Formlabs. So to do that work at MIT, I put together a lab with essentially one of every machine to make anything. So from sort of atom to building scale, we can make and measure. And then I had a problem. It would take a lifetime of classes to learn to use it. So I started a class called How to Make Almost Anything, just to learn to use the machines. It wasn't meant to be provocative, but every year hundreds of students try to take it, and they do the most amazing things in it. Kelly made a device to save your screams and play them back. This was a web browser for parrots. This is an alarm clock you wrestle with. This is a dress that defends your personal space. And I realized we were looking at how to do digital fabrication, but not why. And just like personal computing, they were showing the killer app of digital fabrication is personal fabrication, expressing yourself in the means to make. And even though it's a strange class, it became one of the most oversubscribed classes at MIT, recognized for its impact on education. So then, rather than tell people about what we're doing, we thought it'd be more interesting to give them the tools. So Mel King was a grand old man of community activism in Boston. And with him, we developed Fab Labs. And so the research in the lab is leading over many years up to Star Trek replicators. In the lab is millions of dollars of tools. And in between, the Fab Lab today includes a 3D printer, but it also includes large format precision machining, surface mount electronics, embedded programming, composites, molding, casting, all of these tools you need to make complete functional systems. And so everything you see here was made in a Fab Lab, not as a business, not as a thesis, just as a team, just an individual. So boats, bicycles, furniture, citywide antennas, computer terminals, healthcare instrumentation, production tooling, consumer electronics. All of this is made in a Fab Lab. And in the Fab Academy, you'll learn how to do this, span form and function. And so this helped start the maker movement. The labs that went viral, there's now about 3,000 in 150 countries, as far north and south as you can go on Earth, as far urban and rural, in just about any setting. Remarkable sites have pulled these labs. At-risk youth in Detroit, this is Bhutan's prime minister, mixed Arab-Israeli community, Alaska natives, craft retreat in Maine, Protestant Catholic boundary in Northern Ireland. We didn't push. Each of these places pulled these. These are companies doing it as part of their corporate social responsibility. This is a US initiative to view this as a new kind of personal right. This is an initiative initially with Barcelona's mayor, now spread around the world, of cities signing up to be able to produce what they consume, turning consumption to creation. And so we've had to create organizations to support all of this, like the Fab Foundation. And now we get to the Fab Academy. We had bright, inventive people coming to the lab. The youngest who've gone through Fab Academy is about 10 years old. The oldest might be 80 years old, a huge range of ages, but bright, inventive people frustrated by hierarchical schools or businesses with rules or formal education that doesn't actually teach you to do things. And so the lab became a magnet for them, and they would learn skills ahead of local opportunities. So to keep up, the Fab Academy teaches the MIT how to make class, but globally. And in many ways, I'd say it's become better than the MIT class with a really unique model. Students have peers, mentors, and machines locally. Then they're connected by video sharing and globally. And rather than just in case education, it's just in time. So they're fast-paced weekly units where you learn a skill. And then as we progress, you integrate those skills and build up to projects both in teams and individually to integrate them to make complete functional systems. And so that's the Fab Academy. From there, it spun off a number of other classes in what's come to be called the Academy of Almost Anything, or Academany. So classes in things like biotechnology and textile technology. And it's been unusually important in the life of the Fab Lab network. People coming through it go on to advanced study, they get investment in business, they get employment. But at least as important, it creates this amazing cohort where each year this drives best practices across the network and trains trainers, trains leaders in the network who become the community that you'll now meet from this. So that's what the Fab Academy is. I'll now hand off the team to give you a tour of it and its impacts. And by the way, the classes, like the classes, this session is very interactive. So feel free to put questions in the chat. And if something is really burning, unmute and ask a question. This is very interactive.
Thank you, Neil. Hello, everyone. I'm Luciana. I'm the global coordinator of Fab Academy. I've been sort of shepherding this group of people for almost 10 years, I think. And we thought it was a great idea to gather you people that might be considering joining us to sort of give you a tour of what we do and some of the stories of the people that have taken Academy and that are part of this community very actively. I'm going to share my screen and we'll walk you through some things. Let's see if I can do this right. As Neil said, this is a distributed educational model. You will be taking Fab Academy in a Fab Lab, but you will be connected to a network of other Fab Labs, of other nodes taking this program. We usually have around 200 students distributed around 60 to 70 nodes, which is an incredible experience because you not only get to meet people around you and support your process locally, but you get to meet all these other amazing human beings that will be supporting you and sharing different stories and different techniques and different hacks of what you're doing. As Neil said, Fab Academy is based on the how to make almost anything. This is a 20 weeks, it's a 6-month program. It's a crash course. It's very intensive. It's very hands-on. This is something we usually let people know. You learn how to learn because the fast pace, beyond the technical skills, the way it's taught is very unique. So it sort of gives you this idea of it forces you to sort of keep up with the pace and be very resilient and adapting. Everything we do is open source. So our main goal here is for you to learn, but you to share, which is this very, very, very important for us. And as I said, it is distributed. I'm going to very quickly walk you through the general calendar of the year so you have an idea of what's going to happen. Now we are in the applications registration. You have time to apply, to register. The only thing we'll ask for you is some personal data. You need to have strong reading and writing English skills to be able to document and be able to communicate. So if you're in, we'll see you in January. We'll start classes on January 22nd, but before we'll have a sort of soft introduction to students, which is called the Students Bootcamp. We'll let you know. We have classes throughout mid-January to May. Then you will go you will have weekly cycles of learning these skills and documenting your progress. Then you will present your final project in the first 2 weeks of June, in which you will present to your peers the product of all the work you've done throughout the year, and we will evaluate you based on your work and what has been documented in your website. After the double layer, let's say, evaluation process, we have a graduation that usually happens during the global conference. This year, the global conference is the first week of July, and it will happen in the Czech Republic. If you graduate, we'll see you there. If you don't manage to finish all your assignments in this cutoff, we have an extended cycle that goes from September to December, in which you can finish your documentation and graduate in the cycle. Neil likes to say, you never finish Fab Academy until you finish. It's not that you fail, you keep on documenting and finish your work. And when you're done, and we'll see you in the next graduation cycle. All this to say that if you, at the end, we will show the link to registration, but you can find all the information you want on our website, it's fabacademy.org. Now, I would like to introduce you to Norela, who's going to do sort of run through the schedule of the day. And then we're going to go into 2 blocks. She's going to explain how, and I'm going to follow through. Nore?
Thank you, Lu. Hi, everyone. My name is Norela Coronel. I am the communication manager for the Fab Academy program. I did Fab Academy in 2017, if I'm not incorrect. Today, basically, I'm going to walk you through, as you already know, we had an introduction by Neil. Luciana explained a little bit about the programming, and this is me. Then we're going to walk you through 2 key aspects of the program by basically topic leaders. So these are Fab Academy alumni that have become part of the instructor cohort, and that are going to be basically explaining you in their own words what they have learned, what they have taught throughout the different cycles of Fab Academy. So we will have additive manufacturing with Miriam and Rahul, subtractive manufacturing with Aristarco and Michelle, electronics with Adrian, Chris, and Dua, programming with Henk and Quentin, projects and system integrations with Pablo, Nuria, and Rico. And we will highlight a couple of ex-alumni that have created their own projects and are working on their own things that will be an example of how you can create your professional development as you finalize the course. And then we'll have a special session for Q&A. If there's any questions, please at any time put any question in chat. As Neil mentioned, this is an interactive session where you can open your mic and have any questions you want to make as we are explaining the different topics. So without further ado, I'll pass it on to our MC, that's going to be Luciana, introducing each of the different topics.
Thank you, Nore. Nore, it's one of the greatest assets of the network. Please rely on her. I would like to introduce Miriam and Rahul. Miriam graduated from Fab Academy in Fab Lab Seoul in 2019, and Rahul in Trivandrum, India in 2017, if I'm correct. So one important thing, I will be sharing the presentation, and we have around 3-4 minutes per topic. So I ask you to please be very, very succinct because we'll be chasing you with time. So we have time at the end for the Q&As. So Miriam, Raul, take it away. And let me know when to click next.
Okay. Hello, my name is Miriam, and I'll be starting us off with additive manufacturing. Can you hear me okay? Okay, so we're going to be talking about manufacturing process and what we do with them in Fab Academy. So with digital manufacturing process, you have to start with an idea and you do the design, you use the machine to make it, and of course in Fab Academy, you document the entire process. All right, so if you have experience in 3D designing and printing, then that's great. You have all of your time in Fab Academy to explore what you already know widely and deeply. But if you haven't, that's also okay, because in Fab Academy, you have to get used to using different softwares. And so becoming familiar with just one of them will get you pretty far. So the options for 3D modeling softwares are Fusion 360, Blender, SolidWorks, FreeCAD, etc., and even Tinkercad if you can make that work. And I have linked to examples of 3D modeling softwares and some tutorials that are also in the Fab Academy website tutorial. And these are just some of the works that I personally have done or have noticed that will help you look at maybe UI, UX, and help you choose. So choose one, be friends with it, and then your making process will become that much better and easier. So depending on your capabilities, you might be designing something simple like a box that will encase your projects, or you could take it further and design mechanical parts and joints that move in your products. So thanks to these softwares, you can design things to precision. And after using these softwares, you have your 3D design. And with your model file, you can use a machine to make a design. And you can use different manufacturing methods with the same design. You can use additive or subtractive. But we're going to be talking about additive manufacturing. And with additive manufacturing, you can make things that is not possible subtractively. And Rahul will now talk about different additive fabrication methods, along with some examples of what have already been done. Thank you.
Hey guys, thank you, Miriam. I hope I'm audible. Okay, good. So once we have the design, do the design part, then we need to make the parts a reality. And one of the most accessible technologies to move materials is 3D printing. And we have different technologies for moving materials, but FDM is one of the most common ones. Next slide, please. So here we have some of the most common parts. So on the left, you see Prusa, which is mostly an interesting printer because most of the parts of the printer can be printed in the printer itself. Then on the second, we have Voron, which started as an open source community project to push the limits of the design and the 3D printing FDM technology limits. Then next one. Yes, so going from the small desktop scale to the huge one, we have huge concrete printers which can move tons of material a day to build structures that are meters tall. And this is not limited to hard or soft materials. It can be also used to make custom materials, which are a mixture of different materials. For example, on the right side, we have custom soft silicon printers, which can print actuators for soft robotics. Next one. Next, please. And this is one interesting one back, please. Yes, this is one interesting application is to print your own shoes. So this is something I'm working on right now. So it's a really interesting application in which each person has a different feet. So each shoe is different. It's a super interesting technology done with FDM, and you can have custom shoes everywhere. Next, please. So what printing also allows you to make is custom geometries. So you can build on very crazy motion systems. Like, for example, on the left is a capstan drive, which is based on a fishing line to move an axis. So these are all unique geometries which you can make with 3D printed parts. Then on the right side is kind of an almost infinite printer, which is printing at a 45-degree angle that can give you almost nearly infinite print lengths. Next slide, please.
Raul, our time is almost over, so we can wrap up.
Yes, last one. This is an interesting project I did in the Fab Academy. You can make custom machines which do one specific task for yourself. For example, this is an entirely printed mill that can do PCBs. It's a really interesting project called NeoPico. Please look it up. I'm sure you can do something like this in your Fab Academy, and it would be a really awesome addition to your lab. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Miriam and Raul. Now we'll go to subtractive manufacturing by Aristarco Cortez, who graduated from Puebla in 2015. He is now leading the lab there. We were visiting him in Mexico this last conference. And also Michelle from Amsterdam. She graduated from 2023. Aris, Michelle, take it away.
Yeah, thank you. Jeon has already explained what digital fabrication is. We tend to work a lot with companies outside, and I would like to show you some of the projects that we have. This was ceramic tile molding making with the CNC. We molded directly on the plaster. Next, please. This is a very interesting project. This woman is the first Mexican archaeology working in Egypt. We have the model. They scan it with a drone. We fix the model in a blender, and then we CNC milled. Now the model is exposed at an exhibition in National Museum. This is another very interesting. We made a digital twin. This I think it's week 4. the scanning, 3D scanning. We scan it with photogrammetry and with a laser scanner. And with parts of that model, we also make parts of the Mayan throne. That the piece was lended to the Metropolitan Museum in New York, and this was part of the exhibition here in Puebla. You can see the rest of the video in my YouTube channel. This is a workshop that Nick Anastasia made, and you can see that the CNC router it's very flexible. We made the mold, and then we made the finishing of the skateboard, and then we made the holes, and just to make it an entire skateboard here in the process. Next, please. And finally, this is work in progress. I'm making a leather clutch. This is a small bag for women. I designed it part in SolidWorks, and then I took the model with the measures to Blender to put all these bubbles, and I made the two-part mold in the CNC. And I think that the result, I love the result. Everybody fell in love with one machine, and the router CNC is my loved one.
Nice. And this is some examples from the computer-controlled cutting week. And this is really the first week where you get acquainted with subtractive manufacturing and parametric design. So it's really like a key week where you get familiar with very important themes that keep coming back. So here are some examples from using Fusion 360, which is kind of the main software that we use. Next slide, please. But for me, for this week, I chose to dive into Grasshopper, looking into parametric design there, which is pretty fun, pretty complicated, but definitely worth a try. And you can get started with materials like cardboard, and then from there on, you can try all kinds of other materials. So next slide, please. Yeah, so you can laser cut like biomaterials, textiles, conductive textiles. You can make 2D objects and turn them into 3D with different kind of softwares. So the laser cutting, it's not just a 2D machine, it's very versatile and it's amazing. Can you go to next, please? Yes, and the laser cutting, it's really like a technique. You keep on using it. And here's an example of kind of going from fusion to laser for Fusion 360, and then prototyping with laser cutting, and then CNC milling, and then bringing everything together in a final project. That's it.
Well, thank you very much, Michelle and Aris. Now we're going to electronics by Adrián, Chris, and Dua. By the way, this institutional music that you hear is the time when we hit the 3 minutes. It sort of hints you that you have to wrap it up, okay? You're next.
So you can hear me, obviously. So since we don't have a lot of time, so I made this one slide. So I'm a Fab Academy graduate from 2018. I did it in Fab Lab Barcelona. Very nice Fab Lab. But, you know, Spain, Barcelona, it's kind of hot. So now for the past 5 years, I'm here in Finland in Aalto Fab Lab. So here in Finland, in Espoo, it's nice, dark, and cold. So with that said, I started with Eagle. So I joined the Fab Academy mostly because of electronics. So I was doing 3D printing and 3D modeling and prototyping before in many different contexts. But then, so I always felt that electronics is the thing that is missing, that I would like to spend more time on. So I joined the Fab Academy and I started with Eagle. And it became kind of limiting for me because, you know, you cannot run it on Linux. And then also the software itself, it's not very flexible. So I moved to KiCad, and I've been a KiCad user ever since. And you can look at KiCad as Illustrator for electronics, basically. So, and then if you start to look from that perspective, and you have arts background or illustration background, then it makes things much easier, and then you can add small bits at a time in order to understand electronics better. And down below in the on the slide, you can see, you know, some circuit boards. So the one on the left side, that's actually the very first circuit board that I made, and that was designed in Eagle. Then more towards to the right, more to the center. So these are basically some prototypes that I'm recently working on. So I'm using a combination of all these skills that the other people are going to talk about in order to do rapid prototyping for input devices. So I don't know, like here, like I'm actually working on one right now. So it's going to be a lighthouse system, like my lighthouse system, trackable and input device for positional tracking. And I'm also maintaining the Fab KiCad library. So if you're going to take the course, you're gonna probably use it. And I perceive it as a learning tool and a teaching tool. So because it makes it easier to understand the more like electronics related and electronics products related concepts of KiCad. So there are a lot of electronic parts that, you know, if you would have to draw the footprints or, you know, the soldering patterns, so to say, for each of them individually, then the whole electronics design process would be really, really slow. So in KiCad, you have libraries, or in this case, one library that is then going to help you to design your board faster. So with that said, I think I can give the word to next person in the line.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Chris. So the cool thing about Fab Academy is that when you're creating electronics, you are able to produce them instantly. So the thing about the Fab Lab is that you don't really have to like wait or have someone else produce your electronics. You can make your project interactive right away with the design process, as like Chris mentioned. So generally the process we use for that is like milling. So we're generally going from like blank copper sheets to basically engraved copper sheets, PCBs, and also like the adding of the electronics on it. Next slide if possible. So the process we generally use is basically like milling. So one of the machines that we would use is, I'm sure I'm butchering this pronunciation, is the Jinmitsu, and also like the Roland mills, where again, like we're able to immediately jump into the production of our designs and actually producing our own electronic boards. Next slide. So later, after producing like our board, we're able to kind of like add our electronic pieces on it, again, right away in the lab and get to testing immediately. So we use multiple different methods for that, things like basically like hot plates for like reflow soldering, things like soldering manually with the soldering tools. But that's the coolest thing about Fab Academy, is that you're able to make things interactive right away, create your electronics right away, right there in the lab.
Hi, I'm Adrián Torres. I'm graduated from Fab Academy in 2020. And in my case, after finishing the Fab Academy in 2020, I decided to continue with electronics because I love it. And I want to help the Fab Academy students. If you see in the top of the slide, you see the Adrianino is a different modular boards that can be connected with inputs and outputs. In the little video, you see the step response connected to the Adrianino. Also, I created the Fab Xiao and the Fabri Xiao with the Seed Studio. microcontrollers. And at the last video is a flexible board that you can be created in the Fab Academy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adrian, Dua, and Chris. Now I'm going to invite Hank and Quentin. You're around, both graduated. Hank from some time ago in 2018, Quentin in 2020. Take it away.
Thank you. Yeah, so Luciana mentioned I graduated in 2020, and I now work as a researcher for Neil at his lab at MIT. Now, when we talk about programming in this class, the vast majority of programming will be for microcontroller projects. So you have this tiny device and you're going to send code to it. When I took the class, the most exciting thing was to create your own programmer so that you can send the code to the target microcontroller using the same protocols they use in commercial products. So that's a skill you can still learn if you're interested, and make your own programmer that you might use for the rest of your life. I mean, I keep opening commercial products and finding ports that I connect to hack the product. So that's really fun. And it also lets you make much smaller projects. Those chips go down to 1 millimeter inside if you want to make extremely small projects. So those are tools that we developed for that purpose. Hank, do you have anything to add?
No, not really.
Okay.
So I started with the Fab Tiny. That was even a smaller MCU, a smaller microcontroller back then, 2000 till 2018.
Yeah, and those are some niche applications that I find interesting, in terms of computer science. So on the left is a color-based communication protocol that one of Hank's students designed. It lets you transmit data using nothing but a color LED and a camera. On the right is a game of life for the most nerdy of you. You probably know this math, game theory thing, and I'm running it in Python on this microcontroller, which was something that really blew my mind when I did it. And on the left bottom is another really niche project, but it's a microcontroller infecting another one with its own source code. So that's also very niche, but a fun code that you could write for the class, for example. Okay, next. Yeah, and then you learn some, programming for computers, and the main thing is going to be writing applications to interact with your embedded projects. So this is Neddy, who took the class with Hank again in 2021, and she made those beautiful data visualization pieces of software that talked directly to her microcontroller device. So this is just reading a value from the device and displaying it in a beautiful way. Okay.
Thank you very much, both of you. Now we're gonna wrap it up with the sort of topics. This is project and system integration. We have our friends here, Pablo Núñez and Nuria Robles from Fab Lab León, Enrico from Japan, Skylab work. And I don't know who's gonna start.
Yeah, I am starting, so we can go to the next slide, please, Lou. So I'm Nuria Robles from Fab Lab León, graduated in 2012 in Fab Lab Barcelona as a remote student and an instructor since then. So you can go to the next slide, please. So the final assignment of the Fab Academy is the final project, and the final project is an assignment in which the students need to plan, build, and to document a masterpiece that integrates all the topics covered during the courses. Here, there apply the digital fabrication skills, the electronics, the programming, and the design skills. This project must have a concrete application demonstrating practical use and relevance in a real-world context. And as a part of the presentation, students must also to prepare a summary slide and a video, as you can see in this slide, that documents every step of the process, from the initial idea to the finished product. And the goal is to create a project that not only showcases your technical mastery, but also a policed or professional appearance, something that could easily pass as a commercial product, even though it is done in the Fab Lab. I pass the floor to Rico.
Hi, Rico Quintana, I'm Fab Lab, or actually Skylab Workshop in Kamakura, Japan. I graduated in 2019 and have been an instructor since then. So I'm going to talk about system integration. The most asked question during the the final project presentation by Neil is, does it work? And the most often presented answer is, well, it did 5 minutes ago until I moved it from this desk to that desk, and then a wire disconnected or some part fell off your final project. So as of last year, there was a new segment to the Fab Academy program called System Integration that focuses on focusing your design on making something that actually will function in reality. So that not only does it look beautiful, but it will also function and as it should, and designing it so that it can survive real world abuse, whether that be rain, wind, or just a small child. Making sure that the user interface for your project is sensible, that you make buttons easy to understand and well located, that thing has a charging port that's easy to locate and easy to attach to. And lastly, making sure that, as you can see in this image, that your electronics are protected. Neil likes to, or I think the other instructors like to kid that your project should survive a shake test. So anybody should be able to pick up your project, do a little cocktail shake on it, and it should still function after that. If you did not do that well with your system integration, the interior of your project will be spaghetti. So, yep, that's all I have to say. Passing it on to Pablo.
Thank you, Rico. My name is Pablo. I come from León, and I study Fab Academy in 2013. And I want to talk about the final project. The final project of the Fab Academy is a comprehensive demonstration of what we are capable of achieving. But it's also an opportunity to showcase essential skills like problem solving, project management, creativity, and the ability to collaborate and communicate ideas effectively. When presenting our final project, we are not just showing a final product. We are sharing a process, a journey of learning that includes planning, iteration, and overcoming obstacles. And this work serves not only as a tangible portfolio for future job opportunities, but also a clear evidence of our ability to turn ideas into reality, something that can be a key differentiator in our job interview or future professional skills. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Open this, I have to pause. Now, after we've seen a bit of an overview of the skills you're going to learn and a bit the people that is going to be around to help you and support you and evaluate your work and give you insightful comments and advices, we wanted to gather some of our alumni. This is people that has taken the Fab Academy, and through Fab Academy and the many other things that they've done through their professional life, have managed to achieve different things, and we wanted to share some of these stories. We have Daniele Ingracia, we have Adriana Cabrera, Dan and Adam Stone, and Batul. So I'm gonna call Daniele Ingracia. It's the first one.
Hello, everyone.
And yeah.
Okay, perfect. So my name is Daniele Ingracia, and I'm an Italian immigrated in Germany, having a company here. I did Fab Academy in 2015, and the start of everything was how I could connect the job I was doing as a programmer to Fab Academy. And the reason why I did it was because I wanted to see some of my programs, of my software, running on hardware, physical hardware. And for that reason, then my company got convinced to offer me Fab Academy. Then after Fab Academy, I wanted to continue to stay in this world. And basically, I didn't want to stay still in a desk doing programming. And basically, I found a job thanks to Fab Academy. So there was a job ad in Germany for a Fab Academy instructor. And I was a fresh graduate, as many of you may be next year. And I took the job and I started teaching Fab Academy for 6 years in a row in a Fab Lab. And by doing that, I didn't stop building things. So I built a lot of open source machines like this large format laser cutter, large format 3D printer, and so on. But not only that, I also trained my students to be like me. So basically now there is a student of mine at the MIT, it's Marcello with Neil. And then there were students going to Fab Lab Irbid, for instance, or Lebanon, and so on. And nowadays, I'm running a company that has 10 employees, and the focus of the company is to produce open and source hardware machines, and we have 10 employees on board. All these employees are Fab Academy graduates of Fab Academy graduates, and we are still hiring an electronics engineer that should have the Fab Academy diploma if you are interested. Next, please. Okay, so the main goal of the company is to make open hardware digital fabrication machines. So the one that you see now on the screen are an entire Fab Lab inventory of available open source machines that you can replicate within the equipment that you have in your Fab Lab. And this is actually the link for it. Okay, next. Okay, so we are working with a lot of other Fab Lab gurus and graduates all over the world. At the moment, we are building a mobile Fab Lab for Jordan, for instance. So my company also tries to deploy other Fab Labs all over Europe, or for example, in Africa or in the Middle East. And we also focus in documentation of projects. So we have our own online 3D assembly manual to show you how to put together the machines. And we are open for more Fab Lab works in the future. So if you're interested, please Google eMachines and you will find me. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you very much. Adri?
Oh.
Adriana?
Yes. Hello.
There
Could
you
you
are.
hear me?
Hi.
My name is Adriana Cabrera. I am, as I said, originally from Colombia, but I also worked in the past in the Fab Lab Camp Linford. Daniele was also my instructor, and we started this journey. I came as an industrial designer in the lab, but I realized through my studies, I have the opportunity to do the Fab Academy to help as an instructor to build the lab. But also, it was a very interesting experience to include these past studies and other couple of things that I didn't miss in my original studies, as for example, electronic, or for example, molding and casting and integration. So for me, that was my final project, my orthotics. And during the Fab Academy, I could experiment a bunch of different skills, but also enabled me after the Fab Academy to apply this, especially during the Fab Academy, to work with people with disabilities. And this experience was so important that enabled me to apply this in other projects. And also connect with further opportunities, as for example, the Fab Academy that has the connect also with the textiles, and also be instructor in TechWorks in Amman, and also apply this knowledge in a further community, as is this project She Makes, which I work together with different labs in Europe, with 18 labs together also with Nuria. You can go in the next one. But also not only to connect with communities, but to join and to form our own community of makers who are interested in in care and in assistive devices. And we identified these through the years with different labs who works in healthcare. And together with Enrico Bassi, that in that time who was working in Open Door, we set up this community working together globally, but acting locally. You can go to the next. So another part that I identify is that I had also different hats, because while I was working through developing different skills, I was able to set up other kind of skills, as for example, setting a lab, and also, for example, setting a Fab region, but at the same time, continue my skills in research as I did, for example, in the last year in the Fab conference, for example, giving a workshop in self-robotics with other Fab Academy students. And
Thank
that's
you, Adri.
myself.
Thank you very, very, very much. Thank you. Now we're calling these two, Adam and Dan from Charlotte Latin School. I would like you to introduce yourselves and your story.
Hello, I'm Adam Stone. I'm a senior in high school in Charlotte, North Carolina in the United States, and I graduated Fab Academy my sophomore year, so in 2023. Fab Academy was a really transformative experience for me. And not only the great skills that I learned in the course, but also the opportunity to dive deeper and go past the final project. So a really amazing part about this program is that there's a community there to support you if you're interested in exploring other opportunities that I've been able to engage with twice, actually more on the software side of projects. I developed a tool for finding useful documentation and had the opportunity to work with Professor Gershenfeld and Peter Gabriel on a new software project. So if you want to engage and create your own path, there's the ability and support to do that. On top of being really valuable for me and my education, I also got to meet a lot of interesting people all around the world, whether in our local Fab Lab, our lab leader, Mr. Tom Dubik, as well as Dr. David Taylor and Dr. Terence Fagan, to working with Jean-Michel Molinar in France, and Francisco Arroyo, who's from Spain, is in Germany. There's great people to engage with and learn from all around the world. I even got to go to the Fab 24 Fab Lab conference in Mexico last summer, which was a really, really amazing experience. And beyond all of these different aspects of both Fab Academy itself and opportunities that have built off of it have helped me cement that this is what I want to do and learn in college. And Dan Stone is my dad. It was really fun to be in the same course as him, even though we were in different groups in our local lab. It was a nice experience that we got to share.
Yeah, so I'm Dan Stone. And I think we were one of maybe the first father-son team here. So I'm actually an executive. I don't, former executive. I didn't have any technical background. I used to do some woodworking, but was really interested in picking up a new hobby. And at the Charlotte Fab Lab had an opportunity to engage with them a couple of years before joining the Fab Lab and just learn how to 3D print. And so after doing that for a couple of years and learning about the Fab Academy, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I'm gonna, big time commitment, but I'm gonna learn all these, cool skills and really more recreational than business for me. And it was nice because that year Adam was at the age, he was a sophomore and he had an opportunity to take that. And the Charlotte Fab Lab has adult group and a high school group. And so we weren't in the same group, but we were in the same class and we were in the same room and we got to enjoy debugging things together. And Adam could help me with my coding, which is abysmal. And so that was a really cool experience to share with my son and gave us something to talk about. And the skill set that I took with it actually ended up being more helpful than I had expected in that, I've done I do some startup investments, and that had some of the knowledge actually helped me do some diligence, which was not expected and very helpful. I got to get involved in a project that Professor Gershenfeld is leading called Distinct, which is a distributed incubator and has a network of folks that want to help you guys as you have ideas and projects and organization that will grow. And so, you know, highly recommended and a lot of fun, even if, you know, all you want to do is have a new hobby and it'll end up helping you in other ways than you expect.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Adam. And I would like to call Batul.
Hello.
Hi, take it away.
I'm Batul Amr Rajdan. I'm an architect who graduated from Fab Academy in 2020 from what's now called CPF Makerspace in Amman, Jordan. And I joined the Fab Academy back then to expand my skills. So to add, it's not only parametric design, so now to learn more about digital fabrication and electrical stuff. So I did my graduation project with the geometry coded after on the hand scan or the body scans, and then I 3D print on the textile itself with some mechanical 3D printed parts underneath, moving them and my own PCP designs. And now I use the same concept to open my startup, which is Studio BOR, offering engineering services to the fashion industry, which is a gap they're lacking. And this startup has won several awards that after then, like I also took the Fab Academy, which is a sister program. And it won several awards since 2022 until now, with like Type I Industrial Award and Sustainability Award, and recently the Fashion Tech Award for the 2024. And here you can see a picture with like the royal family who gave it to me, and my pieces are sold and showcased all around the world, from Paris Fashion Week to New York and other places. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. So I would like to thank everyone for participating. These are our friends for me. These are people we share every year with. I call them when we meet global evaluators or instructors, or when we, I don't know, need to introduce certain projects to certain experts. So I appreciate that you're always there. I would like to give the word to, before we go to Q's and A's, maybe Neil is around and want to sort of share some last words.
Absolutely. So if you stop share, let me pick up a few things from the discussion. So a few comments from the discussion. So the first one is a lot of questions about, can I do this in, fill in the blank with your place. These are the nodes that we're currently confirmed to do. There's a much larger map of Fab Labs around the world. And so the best answer is follow up with Luciana. She does a great job of handling everybody being in touch with her. She can help you navigate finding nodes. One way is to do it where you are. There's also a kind of Fab Academy travel where people get hosted in nodes all around the world. The most important point of that just is you can't really do it all by yourself. You need to be in a local network as part of the global network. So reach out to Luciana about that. There's a question about the fees. The cost of the Fab Academy, we very carefully keep just to cover the cost of running the program to make it sustainable. This is a nonprofit initiative, and we price it at just what we need to cover costs to keep it sustainable. There isn't a big central fund for scholarships, but all around the world, there are a number of funders and donors who help support this. And so, again, reach out first to Luciano, and they can help you explore potential opportunities to find donors and funders. There was a question about open source. So I use pretty exclusively Linux and open source software, and that's where I'm happiest. There are a number of reasons to learn proprietary tools also. So we don't specify that. You can do the whole course with open source software and hardware. We also provide access, and we have great relationships to the proprietary tool makers, and it's up to you. We provide access to both of those options. One of the comments in the chat is, you might have seen many of the things we're covering, but not in the way we're covering it. So you might have used an Arduino, but we teach you to make an Arduino. You might have laser cut, but we teach you how to offset for the kerf and design a range of types of joints. You might have 3D print, but we teach you design rules to 3D print without supports. And ultimately, you might have used machines, but we teach you actually to make the machines. So even though these may look familiar, you'll go much deeper with us. An interesting note is there is no global accreditation. Accreditation is regional. So we make our own accreditation that's very carefully and very rigorously evaluated. Each of you will have a local instructor as well as a global guru helping advise, coach, and make sure everybody's meeting the same standards globally. But then interestingly, we had to make that global accreditation. Increasingly, people cite it just as a credential based on our credibility, but a range of institutions also recognize this in their system. And so our accreditation also is recognized through all of these overlays. And out of all the things you learn, I think the most important comment to pick up from today's session is the number of people who say this is life-changing. We just planned this to learn to use some machines, and the number of people just over and over who find this a life-changing experience. The amazing gurus you heard, we didn't pick them. In a sense, there is no we. What's taught in the Fab Academy, I help coordinate, but it's the knowledge of the network. It comes from the network, and all of these amazing people you heard opt in. And also, Adam mentioned after Fab Academy fills this core educational need, but after it, there's a number of other educational programs. And one of the exciting new ones we're starting for Fab Academy grads is an incubator to invest in business development. And it's linked to the Fab Academy, where you learn the skills and you build the portfolio and the documentation. And so it skips all those steps for the pedigree to then move towards this globally distributed incubator. And I'll just end with, if you're interested in the larger arc of where these came from and where it's going, this book and this interview is the long form version of my comments. So with that, I actually have to run to events at MIT, and then I'm traveling. So I'm going to drop now, but I'll leave you in the capable hands of this great group of people. And I look forward to seeing you all, hopefully in January.
Thank you, Neil.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So if we're going to stay for 5-10 minutes more, if anybody has any questions, you can speak or you can write it in the chat.
I'm good. I'm Rodney from South Africa. I used to be at the Fab Academy. So right now I'm running an incubator where we have like laser cutter machine, and we also have 3D printers. So I just wanted to know, how can we open a Fab Lab where our community can access the lab so that they can study from the Fab Academy? How can I do that in order to link with you?
For what I understand, you have already a place and it already has people around, so that's the perfect seat for a Fab Lab. To offer Fab Academy, you need specific machinery and supplies, and you need somebody to teach the course. But if you want to train yourself or train somebody from your team to become an instructor, we can do it remotely. You can send me an email and I can send you all the specific information, and then you can become an instructor yourself and use your lab as a node, and you can train and teach these skills to your community.
All right. I really appreciate that. Where can I have your email address?
Yes. It's somewhere in the chat. It's coordination@fabacademy.org. We'll paste it again. that goes to me, and I'll send you all the link and information for that. Thanks, Rodney.
All right. No, thank you so much.
Hank, do you have a question?
Not me, but somebody. Hi, again, I'm Remco. I have a question about workload. How big is the workload for taking this course? Do I have to quit my job to take the course, or is it manageable with like 2 days a week?
What we usually say to people is this depends on your prior skill sets or how acquainted you are with the sort of the general skills you're going to learn. If you're proficient in 3D, 2D design, if you have some notions about electronics or some programming, this will help you sort of run smoothly through the course. It is, though, a very intense and time demanding, and it will get worse at the end because you are caught up in these weekly cycles that you have to start documenting and eventually in your final project, so it keeps accumulating. So if you have some basic skills, you can take these as a intense part-time, maybe 20-30 hours a week. But if you start from scratch and this is not your background, I will say it's a full-time program. You should consider devoting your life to it. Maybe you can combine it if your work it's flexible and it's and you can work of hours, etc. But it's a bit incompatible with a normal 9-to-5 job, let's say. The important thing to say is that if you don't, again, as I explained at the beginning, if you don't finish in the very intense 6 months that runs the course, there's an extra time for finished documentation. So you can do the class in these 6 months, try to document as much and gather all the information that you can, and then you can do the evaluation at the end and finish in a sort of like an extended 1-year cycle. So yes, quit your job. No, joking.
Any other questions? If not, I think then we should wrap it up for everyone's time. Lu, do you want to add the last slide?
I understand that we have I have recorded this. I don't know until when, but all this information will be available and we will send it to you in case you want to sort of review something and sort of check on projects and links that might have been go pass through very fast. Again, I'll put my I'll probably share this information so you'll have my coordinator's email. Ask anything you want. If it's too complex, let me know and we schedule a call. Yeah, we wait for you.
And last but not least, we invite you all, if this was convincing enough, to register to the Fab Academy program. Remember that applications are closing in a couple of days. So yeah, weeks. So make sure that you at least do the registration. This is a first step in a long step of different iterations with notes, with yourself. So it is a good opportunity for you to at least make the decision, and why not with all this convincing information that we have displayed to you today. If you have any other questions, as Luciana mentioned, we will be sharing the video and the presentation with all of the people that registered to the session. So thank you so much for joining us, for your time, for your hours today, and hope this is the first step of joining us into the 2025 Fab Academy program. So thank you everyone for your time and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Gracias, hasta luego.
Bye.
Gracias.
Adiós.
Bye.
Bye. Adiós, adiós.
Adiós.
But